When I was a child, my dad did a presentation on this trip that 5 men and himself, 6 men total from Charleston, took. And in 1966, they embarked on an adventure of a lifetime. The men from Charleston who went on this trip were my dad, Gene Harpster, Don Drake, Stan Tyler, Doc Harold Marker, Judge Sunderman, and Ivan Prather. And so at the beginning of the trip, all the men, they're all packed, and everybody had a new hat. They drove in a little Greenbrier van out to Colorado. They were forced to spend a couple of days in Las Vegas. And then they flew 300 miles up the river. They got to their starting point. There were 40 people on the trip total from all over the world, and they headed out. And they ended up in situations that were just crazy. There are a few different things. The first night, my dad put his sleeping bag up on a big, huge boulder, and they all made fun of him and said, why are you doing that? You know, oh, I don't want what's crawling down there to get in my sleeping bag. You know, as the presentation goes on, there are more pictures of the hats, and he says, you know, well, you can see the hats are starting to look a little worn, and we got a little beard growth going on everywhere, except for Judge Sunderman. He said he shaved every day because he may have to make a decision at any time, and he wanted to be prepared. At night, they would end up having to, you know, start to get dark. That was the problem, because they would end up having to start to search for somewhere to pull over to sleep for the night, or pull over for the noonday meal, or whatever. And when it started to get dark and sun would start going down, they would start to worry and think, okay, we got, you know, because you don't want to be caught out on the river at night. And we're talking massive rapids and places of calm, but beautiful scenery and things that people in this area just had not seen before. One time, they got very close to a jagged wall. They hit the wall. They were afraid that it was going to end up busting one of the sections. At the end of the trip, Doc Marker, and they got off the boat, they took a few pictures. Doc Marker took that hat off his head and threw it in a big trash barrel. Well, Ivan Prather lived next door to him in Charleston. So once Doc Marker and Stan Tyler had to go back early on the plane. So Ivan went to the barrel and grabbed Doc Marker's hat, old, tattered, nasty, torn hat, out of the barrel and took it home. Well, when he got home, he walked in Doc Marker's back door and put it on the kitchen table. And I heard this story over and over, you know, as a child. That, you know, and Doc Marker came home, thought he's losing his marbles because here's this hat that he left in Colorado in a barrel. He would love it. I mean, he would love the fact that I'm sharing this story about these men who were from Charleston, who all played a big part in Charleston, each one of them, you know, lawyer and doctor and judge and postmaster, you know, and business owners. And that they were with him on this adventure, that these 5 men from Charleston were able to leave our small town for a moment, go on the adventure, and then bring the adventure back to Charleston to share with the people here. You know, so I think he would be really excited. Of course, you would have him talking for hours about it. And we don't have that much time.
The legacy of Charleston High School speech is one that we've really worked to continue developing. When I took over, they had a team, so I felt very fortunate that the groundwork was done. And since then, we've worked hard to try to be both goodwill ambassadors for the high school as well as for the city of Charleston whenever we go out to compete. And while, of course, we love to win awards, we also want to make sure that our students are being those good representatives of Charleston, and I think it's safe to say that they have. But speech and drama is not something that most people understand as a competitive activity, but it is. It started back for Illinois High School Association in 1941, although They tell me that. I don't know. I really wasn't there. I know Charleston has had a team at least since the 1950s. In doing some research, I found out that Charleston actually had a state finalist in 1956. Speech and drama team involves kids working in 14 different individual competitions that we then combine to be a team competition as well. As a team, we have met goals we never really expected to meet. We've had 9 state champions in the last 10 years. And as a school our size, downstate, that's quite an accomplishment. We never really thought about Charleston being a kind of speech powerhouse. We just wanted to get out there and have the kids do the best job they could. And when in 2005, we had a young lady who was our first state champion. Of course, she never dreamed that would be possible either. Seeing her face, not when she won necessarily, but when she saw they have these big posting sheets that they put on the walls, and they have the names of all the students who qualify for the finals. Seeing her face when she looked up at the sheet and saw her name on it. And then the news got better, because that same year, 2 of her teammates, one of them was Ben Letty and the other one Corey Schultz, their names also went up as finalists. And for us as a team, having 3 state finalists, I mean, it let everybody who was there, including the younger students, know that, you know, you can do these things, you can be highly successful, even if you're from a small school and, you know, we may not have the numbers of students, we may not have the resources, but we had the talent and we could develop it. One of the parents had my husband surreptitiously get a bunch of my t-shirts, and I had, dozens of them, and take to her, and she picked out the ones that she thought would go together best and that represented different eras on the team, to build kind of a memory quilt to be able to look back and see, oh yeah, I remember when we did this show, and I remember that theme from this group of students. So it's just a great memory to be able to look back and see, oh yeah, I remember when the team did this particular theme, and then you start thinking about the groups of students who were involved with it, and it just keeps flowing from there. I think to the community, the speech team has been a unique perspective, because it's something that people don't always understand. They see things in the newspaper about it, but we have students who have gone on to become doctors and lawyers and politicians and housewives, but people who have used speech skills in their everyday life. But there are so many people around the state who recognize Charleston as a great place to be, because they know some of those speech competitors and former speech competitors, and they know that our students are classy kids who bring a lot to our program.
When Eastern Illinois University was established in 1895, it took 3 or 4 years to build the building and get the programs, hire the faculty, etc. So by 1899, the library was established in Old Main. We have the letter from President Lord asking a company in Chicago to send us, I'm getting the numbers wrong, but it's 4 tables, 16 chairs, 4 other desks, and also could you send us a librarian? And from that letter, a person named Florence Beck was hired. And she stayed for 4 years. She was a very young librarian. And she was replaced by Miss Mary Josephine Booth, who proceeded to stay for over 40 years. So she's a wonderful figure, and sort of laid the foundation for great library services. And that continued through several other directors. I think we've only had 6 directors in the 115, 18 years. As time passed, Miss Booth continually requested additional space. And we finally got approval to build a freestanding library on Eastern's campus. But what happened was the Second World War. The building was started in 1948, and the services opened in 1950. She had retired just a few years earlier than that, but the campus named the building for her, and she got to cut the ribbon on the opening day. And as you walk in today's north entrance, it's exactly as it was when it was opened. University Gothic style of the 1950s building is wonderful to come in and just look up. I always say, look up. That's where you'll find the ears of corn in stone in the lobby of the building. And as you come into the foyer, it gets even larger, and you have the Bacon quote on the wall with the ship, and it's a wonderful experience, and people of all ages enjoy coming into that room. The 1950s section was added on to in 1968 with 2 times the amount of space, and then in 2002 we opened the south entrance. And in the 2002 renovation, we were able to bring aspects from the original gym of a library throughout the building. That was not done in 1968. Well, Booth Library is a very important part of university life at Eastern Illinois University, and it's also an important part of the life and culture of the East Central Illinois area.
We don't have a long history, but we've got an important history. It's about 20 years if you look back to the mid-1990s when it was first acknowledged that, hey, there's a need here to have a clinical service, medical service, for people who otherwise are not gaining access to clinical care. In 1999, there was an effort headed up by a couple people, one of whom was Dr. Robert Good with the Carl Clinic Association, to launch a free clinic to provide health care for these folks that were slipping through the cracks. In 2006, recognizing that there was still a huge need for services for these individuals, there was a consortium of several different entities that came together in, I think it was February of 2006, to begin to formulate once again a plan to create a healthcare center that would serve the need of this population that was falling through the cracks. Back in the, 2007 era, when we were doing our research on what the need really was, we identified the fact that about 20% of the Coles County population lives below the poverty level. About the same percentage were uninsured in terms of health care. We identified a couple of possible sites. One was associated with or connected to the LifeLinks, which is formerly Coles County Mental Health, LifeLinks Enterprise over in Mattoon. And the other was a site that had been basically formerly a dentist's office in the Cross County Mall area. And we ended up choosing the site that was formerly the dentist's office. It was already set up as a clinical operation, yes, as a dentist, but we were able to convert it. And this project is a prime example of how the community rises to the occasion and says, we need to do something about this. These are our citizens in Coles County that have the need for this kind of service. So let's get it done.
Well, CTF Illinois is celebrating their 15-year anniversary, which is very exciting for us. We've come a long way. We've had 3 names since then. So we started out as Charleston Transitional Facility, then CTF, and now CTF Illinois. And through that, a lot has changed in who we serve, how many people we serve, and the opportunities that they get. Well, people with disabilities have had to struggle historically. They have been oppressed. And within this community, they no longer have to be oppressed. They have the opportunity to strive to be the person that they deserve to be, want to be, and be treated with that dignity. And I think it offers some dynamics to a community that it would be missing. It would be lacking if the students couldn't have that opportunity. If you at your church couldn't have the opportunity to have a person with a disability there giving back to you. And I think that's the big thing that we miss. The dynamics and all the things that they can offer is such great people. We started out with only serving about 48 people in the community, and now we've grown to 11 homes in the community. And then we also have 3 work sites, opportunities for advocacy, for specialized programs as far as art goes, craft, and just more individualized opportunities throughout the community. What we really try to do is empower individuals through live, work, advocate. So living through their home, being independent as possible, giving them opportunities to be able to cook, clean, and be a part of their community. Live within their community is very important to us. In the work, it's the same thing. We want to give back to the community. We want our individuals to feel a part of that, whether it be volunteering at Soup Stop. I believe that we're the largest volunteer for Peace Meal in the community for Charleston. Recently, with the elections, everyone became a registered voter throughout the whole company. And then the people that chose to vote were able to go. And one of the individuals went in and he, of course, got a little assistance. He got into the booth, and when he put the card in, he yelled, "I voted!" And it was the first time he had ever voted in his whole life, and everybody cheered within that. And that just shows the opportunity to be in your probably mid-50s and have never had the opportunity to make a vote. So we are driven by what people with disabilities want within their community, within their homes.
Five Mile House is one of the earliest structures of Coles County, and we feel very important to the history of the county. Well, the 5 Mile House sits on the convergence of three roads, the old Archer Road, which is Route 130 today, and the Westfield Road going to Westfield, and then there's another road called the York Trail that a little ways east of the 5 Mile House angles southeast and goes down to York, Illinois, and goes by Martinsville. And the Stephen Sargent Farm is located right on the York Road. And we know that Abraham Lincoln in his travels, as part of the 8th Circuit, traveled York Road from Darwin, York area, up, and he always stopped to see Stephen Sargent. And then he stopped to see the Reynolds just east of the 5 Mile House. And so we know pretty much for a fact that he traveled right in front of the 5 Mile House. And the 5 Mile House was kind of a way station for people to stop, and it was built and lived in by some of our early pioneers that were involved with the early history of the county. And the 5 Mile House was preserved primarily because it was brick and it was stuccoed over. So, but it was in pretty bad condition, and there was a great local effort to preserve it, so it's an important part of, you know, the local people's belief that their history is important. You can go to the 5 Mile House in one of our programs or look at the information and get a sense of a lot of the early happenings, particularly in Hutton Township, the southeast part of the county. It's a community effort, and we like to think a community site that people can enjoy for many years to come.
The Woodyard trails are a unique resource that we have in Charleston. They're mountain bike and hiking specific trails that are within the city limits, and in many ways they're a story unto themselves. Some time ago, over 10 years ago, the city manager, Scott Smith, saw a parcel of land next to Lake Charleston, and he acquired it, knowing that it would be valuable for future use. It was designated as a conservation area, and it remained that way for some time. Over the course of time, it emerged that there was a need for a place for outdoor recreation in the city of Charleston. And myself and a rather large team of volunteers worked with the city of Charleston in establishing mountain bike trails. And the mountain bike trails are for mountain bike use and hiking use. We decided to think long-term, and we built with a theme of sustainability, and we built with a theme of accessibility, and we built with a theme of availability. But we were keenly aware of the natural beauty of the lake, so we incorporated as many scenic vistas as we could. We incorporated rolling hills. We incorporated difficult climbs because we want people coming back over and over and over again. And for a hiker, it's an easy hike, but for a mountain biker, it's not easy, and that's by design because we wanted an element of challenge. These are our backyard trails, so we wanted them to be desirable day in, day out. So by incorporating the views and incorporating the natural terrain and incorporating the techniques that we learned over the course of the development of the trails, we've built something that's proved to be a resounding success. It's been amazing. It's been successful beyond our wildest dreams. We're seeing people, and in numbers, that were unimaginable. It's even spawned its own Facebook page. People are meeting at Woodyard. It's becoming a part of the town vernacular. So we want people to know about it because its uniqueness. And its story isn't that of a mountain chain, but its story is of a city and a team of committed, dedicated volunteers working together, identifying something beautiful, something intrinsically valuable, sweating all over ourselves, making friends, learning, and participating in the outdoors in a way that previously we hadn't seen often in Central Illinois.
What an exciting night we're having here. We needed 100 callers. We are at 99. Who's gonna be our 100th caller tonight? And that's not the end, but we want somebody to call right now. We know you want to call. We need you to be the 100th caller right now.
I'll tell you what, that's going to get us rolling into a new dimension. You got to get us to 100. Who's going to get that phone ringing? Who's going to be the one storyteller back here to answer that phone?
If you've been waiting all night to give a call, right now's the time. To be the 100th caller, that is really something, because, you know, for us to get to 100 at this point in the evening, that's amazing.
It is, because we still have more stories to share with you, and you're showing your support tonight by calling. The phones are silent. I don't want to hear crickets in here. I don't want to hear things dropping on the floor. I want to hear those phones ringing. We all want to hear those phones ringing. We have probably, I don't know, 50 people in here with us right now. Do you imagine what that would be like if that one person picks up that phone, calls you right now? Hallelujah. There we go. Marshall is the lucky lady.
Okay, while she's talking, I just want to do a couple shout outs. Brother Herb McElwee, caller 99. Thank you, Herb, for calling. Bill and Barbara Warmoth from Charleston. Jerry and Jackie Bennett, longtime residents of Charleston. Phyllis and Rick Bales. Their dad owned Dale Bales here in Charleston, over at 4th Street. Thank you so much. Jim and Gina Blagg, they're members of WEIU, big givers. Thank you so much. Sherry Oakley from Charleston. Ruth Ann Craig, thank you, Ruth Ann. And Barb and Gary Haddock, thank you so much. And Sally and Dan Kogel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
The phones are starting to ring now. We may have had to get up and take a break and come back and get the phones.
Refocus.
Get something to drink, get a snack, but most importantly, give us a call right now for a gift of $75. All you have to do is call and get a copy of your DVD for $75. For $120, you can get 2. If you are blessed and want to support WEIU and Charleston and your local community and the storytellers even more, feel free to do that too, because we're just pledging to you right now and asking for you to call in and support, and whatever dollar amount that makes you feel comfortable or however you want to support, that's up to you. This is your opportunity right now.
You know, we had several callers tonight that said, one person called and said, I'm going to give $1,000. And they didn't want $1,000 worth of thank you gifts. They called because they want to support the station that is providing programming like Charleston, This Is Our Story. I mean, obviously, they called from out of state. They have family back here, and one of the stories, or maybe several of them that they heard tonight, touched that emotional chord to them. You know, they wanted to give back to the station and support this kind of programming, and it doesn't get any better than this.
You're making me tear up. I'm going to start getting a little shaky here because it's that type of support, and even the people who can just call in and say, hey, thanks for doing this. This is what I want to give to the storytellers, to WEIU, the local community. You're making us feel as a part of this town tonight, and something very important that the community has to share with the world. And Charleston, I'll tell you what, you're coming through for public broadcasting tonight. You're coming through for your community, for your friends, your family, the university. This is a time that we need to celebrate. We need to come together. We need to talk about hometown, what's local, what's important, what is the real things in life that is important. It's town, it's community, it's home, it's family. All of those things tonight is what we're sharing with you because of these people here in the studio. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, and you need to support them by calling right now.
The phones are somewhat quiet. There we go. There's one more. We've got 3. We're going to have 4 people right now that we need to get the phones going. So right now the excitement's kind of died down. So let's get revved up again.
Yeah.
Let's get going.
Right there, Lindsay's on the phone. She's someone who's worked at WEIU. I'll tell you what, we're going to give out some more shout-outs here in just a moment. We've got Gina over here ready to answer a phone. We've got Sharon over here and Teresa. Get all these phones ringing. We haven't had all of them busy at one time yet tonight, and that power is in your hands. All you have to do is call right now.
You know, if you're out there and you've been watching tonight and you have enjoyed this program and you haven't called, you know, maybe you don't have the finances to call us. And we think that's okay. We appreciate you watching and the support there. But if you are sitting at home right now and you have enjoyed this program and you see the value in it, the history of Charleston, the amount of people that you've seen on these stories tonight, you need to give us a call, because that's what we are commissioned to do as a resident of this community. I mean, I want to keep one for myself. I want to have it because, you know what, I want to pass it down to my kids, and then some year when I'm long gone, they can look back and say, Mom went to in your shoe store, or, you know, did you know there was a tornado in 1918? I want them to know that.
You know, Jana, we talked about this earlier, is what a special part of this do we get to play. And you're from Charleston. You grew up in Charleston. You know a lot of people here, and this has been very important to you. And you've brought all of these people into our lives because of this show and because of being in Charleston. What does this really mean to you?
It means a lot to me because you know, you can't beg people to be storytellers. All we can do as a public television station is to say, you know what, if you want to do a story, we want you to come and do one, but they chose the stories. We didn't choose them. And that's what's special to me is they stepped up and they said, you know what, Charleston is really important to me. It's our hometown, and we want to record the history from our family or from our business or from something that happened years and years ago that maybe a lot of people don't know about. It means a lot to me personally. And to be a part of a television station that would take this on, it wasn't an easy task. We worked on it for several months. So right now, we want you as a viewer to say, it's important to me as well.
It's important for everybody to learn about the history of their local community and to preserve it. And it's because of these types of things that children who are growing up now will be able to learn from these types of things. They'll be able to learn about the local history. There's not enough local history that we can learn. All of these different things that people bring to us, their personal stories. We wouldn't have known about a lot of what we're learning about tonight had it not been for these special folks.
That's right, Ken. Real quick, we've got Shauna Downey, number 100. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
Marilyn Dudley from Charleston. Oh, yeah. And Bill Hall. Thank you all so much.
Wonderful.
Right now, it's starting to slow down. We don't want that. Let's keep it going. Let's get up to 120 people. We need the callers right now.
You know, Brendan Lynch was on just a little bit ago. We know there's a lot of people out there who love to mountain bike, who love to hike, and we've got some beautiful trails to go on now. We're talking about things not only of history, but things that are going on today. This is something rather new in Charleston, something for people to enjoy for many years to come. So if you enjoy doing that type of thing, and you want to say thank you to WEIU and Brendan for telling that story, be sure to give us a call right now. Get a copy of that so you can have something to treasure. If you're a bike rider, if you're a hiker, be sure to call us right now. Jana, you look excited. What do you have to share with us?
My dad called.
Aww.
Thank you, Dwight McElwee. I love you, Dad. Thank you. And Dad's pretty tight, so I'm just got to say that. For my dad to call, thank you, Dad. But see, my dad is he's 86 years old. Dad sees the value in a program like that. He just didn't do it because I work here. So thank you, Dad. Thank you, Myrna Combs from Oakland. I don't know her story, but you know what? She thinks this is important as well. We're up to 104. We've got 1, 2, 3 people on the lines right now. We got 4 more. We need to get them on right now. Come on, be like Dwight McElwee. Call.
It doesn't matter if you're 6 years old like Joshy Peterson or if you're 86 years old or older or younger. I'll tell you what, PBS and public broadcasting mean the world to people because this is a safe place. You don't have to worry about people coming on and asking you to go out and buy cereal or something like that for your kids. You don't have to worry about what they're going to be seeing, what language they're going to be seeing, what something that they shouldn't be watching. This is a safe place. These are stories that are meaningful and educational, and you can only get that by being a part of such a special station, such a special community like Charleston and WEIU.
Charleston is such a special place, and when I look at the stories that have come across tonight, what wonderful stories. And even with Eastern and Charleston together, we are intermingled with them. It's great to have Eastern in this community. It is great to be a part of it. And if you're one of those people right now and you're looking at these phone bank and you're going, you know what, they're not answering, they're not picking up the phone. Well, it's because you're not calling. We need you to get on the phone right now. We know you want to call. What a great opportunity to give back to the station, but also we're going to give back to you. We're going to give you a copy of the program. This program could be used as a Christmas gift for somebody, a birthday gift. These types of programs are really invaluable.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give a shout out to some people out there because we've got Tina Winings in the house. She's a school teacher who thought it was very important to give a story about speech and theater. She's had a lot of kids go through her clubs and her all these different things, and they are all these winners. I tell you what, parents of those students, support Tina Winings and the effort she put in tonight. Charleston High School, I'll tell you what, you've been in her group, you give her a call right now, she'll come over, she'll answer the phones. It's special people like her that felt like it was important to share those successes of Charleston tonight. I'm going to ask people who go to Booth Library. I tell you what, that was a special story right there. You would not be able to get the education and have all the different things that Eastern offers through the library without that story being told and you learning the history of it and having the opportunity of having such a great library.
It is absolutely beautiful. Judy and Dick Sherman just called from Charleston. That was one of Jeff Beauchart's people. And Cindy Miller, I'm not sure who she is. No, she's not one of your people. Okay. Thank you, Cindy, for calling.
Thank you. We'll get to know you.
We will get to know you. We forgot to tell them, once you become a friend of WEIU, you're a friend for life. So don't think you're just getting off the hook. You know, call tonight. We're going to want you to watch more programming. We want you to become a part of who we are here.
That's right. And it's all about home, local, Charleston, WEIU. We've got more stories to share with you. Don't go away. We'll be back with you soon. Keep those phones ringing.